Hey Jared, thank you for joining us.
It's 6 p.m. Call the meeting to order. Let the record reflect that all elected and appointed board members are present, as are our two beautiful student reps. Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? We know we have an executive session, but besides that? No. Okay. And we had no public comment this evening, so we'll get straight into it. We have, first is presentation of SES PLCs.
So we just need the speaker to stand at the podium, whoever's doing it. And if you're switching off, the farther you get out.
Y'all have to stand there, but whoever speaks needs to be at the podium.
Behind it.
Behind the podium.
No, they don't wanna hear me, they've made it loud and clear. Oh, that's your clicker.
Yes, we do not wish to hear from Aubrey.
I'm not behind the podium.
All right, good evening, everyone. We're the third grade team at Sultan Elementary School. My name is Summer Huddy. This is Mandy Kalinsky. This is Jaden Gillespie, Jessica Fleming, and Morgan Corlock. We are a very big team because we are a very big school. So we recognize that we are the fourth school to give presentations. And in an effort to make it a little bit less redundant, what button do I push? One? No?
The one to the right.
Right arrow. That's left. I have
And
done
there's a
that one.
little bit of a delay.
We have a technology person in the house?
There it goes.
That's really slow.
I do it,
so just tell me next slide. You're gonna do it? I actually just want the whole thing done. I thought we had tried to remove the transition, so if we can just have the whole slide, that'd be great. Okay, so we wanted to ensure that you're not getting the same information that you've already received from the other three schools that had gone before us. So our goal today is to provide you with more visual examples of the work that we have been doing in our PLCs. Tonight we're focusing specifically on the assessments that we've created and data collection that we are completing. I forgot the ladder over there too, sorry. I do want to quickly review some of the things that the other schools have talked about, just so we're not jumping right into those things. Other schools have already presented on how they have found essential standards. Those are the standards that those grade level teams have decided are the essential learnings. Those essential standards have been broken apart into learning targets, and like one standard can be broken into, 3, 4, 5, 6 learning targets. We're using those learning targets to create learning ladders, which is this poster right here, which also helps us in the creation of proficiency scales that we're using to help us in grading and common pacing. So this is something that I have up in the classroom. We have digital copies that we use when we are going through our meetings, but we're also using this not just for us, we're also using this to help our students in their learning. I think there's 4. Yeah. All right, so before we assess, we have to know what it is that students, or develop a common understanding of what is that we expect students to learn. We have to know what each essential standard means, and we have to understand what each learning target within each one of those standards means. So before we teach a unit, we review any prior work that we've done around those standards, and we look at our curriculum. We create the learning ladders based on the progression of the unit that we're working on. And then we develop exemplars of success, so we can show students what it would look like, and as well as us have visual examples. So like learning target number 9, I can recognize fractions to be equivalent as as equivalent whole numbers. We create this is what we are expecting students to be able to do. This is what we're assessing them on. So all of that work is being done prior to teaching. During instruction, we do review those posters, we review these learning targets, and we explain to the students the progression that they're gonna be learning. This also provides opportunities for students to self-assess their own performance while they're learning. They can monitor their learning, they can self-assess, they can make goals for self-improvement. And why are we doing all this work? That's the next slide. All right, our team has a common commitment to the idea that all students can learn at really high levels. This commitment requires that our Tier 1 instruction is strong. And in order to do that, we have to analyze both our instructional practices and how students are responding to what it is that we are teaching. Working together allows us to discuss any anticipated challenges that students might have while they're learning, and to create strategies to help support students in that Tier 1 instruction. This pre-planning and preparation ideally results in fewer students needing intervention. It's not perfect, doesn't work all the time. Students will still need additional instruction or intervention, but our plan is to have the strongest Tier 1 instruction to prevent as many students from needing that extra work as possible. This is labor-intensive work, so this year and last year, we have laid a lot of groundwork, so we're not done, we're still doing a lot of things, we're gonna be revising things next year, but we're also going to be moving forward. Right now, we're meeting several times a week to review the learning materials that we're using to teach students and to identify where our essential learnings are within the materials. We discuss and develop scaffolds or supports that help students with their learning. And at the end of the day, all of this revolves around that idea, 2 brains are better than 1. Here it's 5 brains are better than 1, so. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about formative assessments. Because there's different types of assessments, and most of the assessments that we're talking about right now are the short little assessments that we're using to help students, or to gauge the students' understanding of the work that they're doing within a unit or a lesson. Most of our assessments are these. They're short, they're meant to be given, after the end of a quick lesson. They're 5 questions long at most, and it's designed to assess those specific learning targets. So we might have, on one formative assessment, we might just be testing maybe 1 learning target, or we might be testing 2, but we're just testing for specific understandings of those learning targets. And that helps us determine in real time whether or not students need extra practice, whether or not they need reteaching, or whether or not they need just some, they're ready to move on. All right, so this year we have a new math curriculum. It is much better than what we had. We really appreciate the purchase and the rigor that it's providing our students. And it's not perfect though, and we are having to make a lot of adjustments just based mostly on the work that it is that we are doing. Some of the things that we are having to adjust is making sure that we are assessing those learning targets. Here we have 1 assessment. The original assessment right here was meant to assess learning targets 6 and 7 over here. The quiz originally had 5 questions. 4 of those questions were only designed to assess whether or not students were learning and understanding learning target 6. There was 1 question dedicated to learning target 7. So we realized that we needed to make an adjustment. The second learning target was the more rigorous of the 2, so we added and edited the quiz to also assess more of that learning target 7. So that's what it looked like before, learning target 6, learning target 7, and this is just all 7, and that was the back. You can see that the number 3 is now a constructed response, so students have to create the number lines, whereas the first one, they're just identifying on the number lines those equivalent fractions. Also, down at the bottom, you'll see a little box that says LT7. We're using that to help us with our data collection. all of this information is captured and stored in spreadsheets. And that is what that looks like. So these are the 5 classes. Each column, there's 3 columns. One is for Learning Target 6, one is for Learning Target 7, and then one is the total score for the quizzes. So we can look at this, they're color coded, we know exactly which student needs help on exactly which learning target. We can pull those students, we can create small groups, and we can target them for immediate interventions on what it is that they need. And by comparison, this is the end of unit assessment. This is where all of the learning targets have been assessed. So you can see, there's still work that we need to do, but learning target 6 and 7, the one that I just showed you, you can see how a lot of those yellows have turned to green. All right, so in conclusion, data analysis of student learning is an important part of ensuring that all students are learning and achieving at high levels. And assessing individual student performance by learning targets helps us understand and provide targeted interventions for students. It also allows us to discuss student performance and allow us to effectively reflect on what it is that we are doing in the classrooms to teach our students. We are not perfect. Sometimes we need to make adjustments. Sometimes we need to change what it is that we're doing. And we can have these conversations when we are looking at that data. All right, next steps, going forward. Next year, we are going to continue to meet and improve some of the stuff that we have already created this year. We are taking notes in our meetings, we are making adjustments. We know that there's some things that we have to change. And we'll continue to use that data to design more specific and targeted instructions, hopefully creating a walk to intervention program where the 5 of us can be pulling whole classes and provide students what they need. We might be able to provide better extension opportunities. We might be able to do different things when there's 5 different teachers, not just pulling students who need intervention. We can do more. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? Michael? Mike?
No.
Marianne?
Are you sure you don't have any questions?
Ladies? Questions? Thank you guys very much, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very informative.
Wonderful.
All right, next we have presentation of Gold Bar Elementary Early Learning.
All right, so you'll have to forgive us, we didn't rehearse or practice any of this, and we're just coming off the spring break, but we came today to present a little bit on early learning at Gold Bar Elementary. So early learning for us means our developmental preschool, our TK programs, and our kindergarten programs is what we're gonna be talking about today. Not going all the way up into 2nd grade, but you'll get a little snapshot of some of that data in here. So I brought with me today.
I'm Megan Clark. I am one of the TK teachers.
I'm Aaliyah Wend, and I'm one of the kindergarten teachers.
Elena Soliday, Title I reading.
And I don't have our developmental preschool teacher here with us today. If you have questions there, I'm happy to help support that. But I'm also glad to see that Mike and Paul are both here because this is not a program that I just run at Gold Bar Elementary. This is a program that these programs encompass what Sultan School District offers for students in our valley. And Mike oversees our categorical programs and our TK program specifically, and Paul with our developmental preschool. And so hopefully today you'll see a little bit about how all those ships align to help close the achievement gap, which if I push the button right, it worked a second ago, there. You are obviously familiar with your district goals, you created them, you review them all the time as a board, but I kind of put early learning off over there to the side because that's what we're here to talk about today. And the fact that you have a goal to prepare your incoming kindergarten students and close that achievement gap through the process of culture, curriculum, and social emotional learning, right? So I spoke just briefly that we have these 3 offerings at the elementary. Our developmental preschool serves students 3 to 4 years old. They need to have 1 qualifying area, so qualify for an IEP, special education services. It is a half-day program offered Monday through Thursdays. So if you hear preschool, that's what I'm talking about. If you hear TK or TTK, that's the transition to kindergarten program. They have to be 4 by the end of August. It is a full-day program, Monday through Friday, and they follow the regular schedule, so same as kindergarten. And then, of course, our kindergarten program, students need to be 5 by the end of August, and again, full-day schedule, same as our 1st through 5th grade students. So, this just goes into a little bit more detail. The preschool program itself, if they're 3 years old, they're there 2 days a week. If they're 4 years old, they're there 4 days a week. There's no enrollment cap to that, so any student who qualifies, we make room for in the district. I think we're up to about 38 kids that we're in, and we're getting new ones every day that a kid turns 3 in our valley and qualifies. And so, but they must qualify for an IEP. We find those students through the Child Find program, through the Birth to 3 programs, through our ECAP programs, and then through local outreach such as the READY program, which you guys are now offering this year. So we're hoping that maybe we might be able to capture some more families and get them early access to those services. The preschool does not participate in the WAKIDS assessment in particular, but we do look at that WAKIDS assessment knowing that that is something that our TK kids will do and our kindergarten students will do when we're looking at that developmental milestones for kids. But they do use the ARIS program in both preschools, which now creates some continuity pre-K through 5th grade, which was something that wasn't happening before. It was kind of its own standalone program. Now it's utilizing the ARIS program so that we have that through line that's going through to help support as kids move up. Some of the common goals that you might see on IEPs for students who are in the pre-K program is following one-step directions, supporting toilet training efforts, recognizing their own name, engaging in cooperative play with others, following a schedule or transitioning between tasks and communication. And my reason for pointing these goals out here is that you're gonna see goals then for TK and kindergarten, and you'll see how some of those skills progress. And when we talk about closing the achievement gap, what we need to do is really recognize what's essential at each level so that the next year's teacher doesn't spend the first half year filling in those gaps before they ever get to teaching in the first place. So, gotta point it there. So I'm gonna let Megan talk about our TK program.
All right, so yes, technically it is TTK now, they keep changing the name. So if I say TK, that's what it started out when I was teaching it, so same thing. Like Heather mentioned, it's for 4 and 5-year-olds, but they must be 4 by August 31st and going into kindergarten the following year. Currently, we have
Currently 3 programs that we have, or 3 classrooms.
Yes. So we are capping it at 18 students right now, which has grown since we first started the program. And we also are now up to 3 TK programs, whereas that has also been building. So when we first started, it was 1, 2, and now we're at 3, which is amazing because we're able to get a lot more kids into the program because there have been a lot of kids trying to get in. It just was this year we're actually able to provide it for so many more. The overall goal for us is to get them ready for kindergarten, to help that transition from my class or TK into kindergarten to go a little more smooth. As you notice, it is the same schedule as a kindergarten class, so it's helping them build that stamina, helping them get a routine in order, and helping them to kind of understand the expectations of a school so that when they do enter kindergarten, it's not as much for them to take on. It's more familiar for them, and then they have they have ability to focus heavier on the academics, because a lot of those basic things that you have to teach when they're first coming to school has already been taken care of in TK. We also do the Walk Kids assessment at the beginning of the year. There's different bands in the Walk Kids assessment. So we're looking at 4-year-olds at the beginning of the year, and then it will move into 5-year-olds for the spring data, which aligns with what kindergarten does as well. So by looking at the Walk Kids continuum, we're able to look at the process of what do they need to know in order for them to be reaching their Walk Kid goals when they are in kindergarten. We have minimum proficiencies. I like to call them our goals. I don't know, it's proficient sounds. Anyways,
Sounds bare minimum.
it does. Like I have a lot of hope for these kiddos. So we're working on writing their name independently. Based off of what kindergarten does in their writing, we're getting the minimum of drawing a picture and helping them be able to verbalize what they are drawing a picture and what it means, to work on that vocabulary for them as well. We have a couple sight words that we throw in there because when you're in TK, learning how to write words is super exciting. So we're taking advantage of that exciting aspect so that they have some under their belt for when they get into kindergarten, which can also help with them moving forward into our small group reading a lot easier because they have some of those basic words down. We do a lot of play at reading again to increase the vocabulary, to help them know that they can use pictures for clues, and to just get them more familiar with like how a book works. You read right to left. Yes, we're not actually reading the stories, but we're noticing that there's words with those pictures, and this is the steps that you need to take in order to become an excellent reader. We try to get them to know at least 15 upper and lowercase letters. Again, this helps with the reading and writing. At least 10 letter sounds. Counting to 20, number recognition 1 through 10, writing numbers 1 through 10, and counting 1 to 10 objects. And if they can gain this while they're in TK, they have the ability to reach all of their kindergarten goals with a little less pressure, and with a lot more ease. So, and I'm happy to say so many of the TK kids reach every single one of those goals and then some, so.
What I'd like to share that I often use the TK students as an example for my 5th graders in terms of how to walk in a line in the hallways.
Routines and expectations.
They are enthusiastic about being there and great examples and role models for the rest of school. And I think also a benefit to the TK program that's not listed in here is just that feeling being an included part of the community. And TK program.
Kindergarten. So kind of to jump off what Megan says, I always tell people that Megan walks so we can run. So some of the goals that she talked about, I will highlight, like being able to write their name. If a kindergarten student can come into kindergarten knowing how to write their name, that takes off one of the biggest stressors at the start of kindergarten. So it's really important that we understand the weight of her work. That I think we can all agree, before TK, there was this missing piece in public education, and she is really filling a void that takes off so much pressure, as she said, on the kindergarten students when they come into me. I went to kindergarten in 2000, and I didn't have to do a lot of the things that my kindergarten students have to now, so there's a lot more pressure. And so having that year to get settled, get those fundamentals of the fundamentals, because I'm supposed to be the fundamentals, is really, really key. So as you can see, kindergarten is just the next step after TK. I have the 5-year-old students. We have current class sizes at approximately 20. I think all 3 years I've been with you, I had about 20, so that's pretty average. We do the Walk Kids assessment just once in the fall, and it's really a referendum of were they ready for kindergarten or not. So if the achievement gap shows up anywhere, I would say the first place it shows up is in the Walk Kids. If I have a kid in kindergarten who is in that band, as Megan said, of like 4-3 behaviors, then that's an indication that there's been something lost there. And there is a bigger hill to climb than the kids who are falling into the 5-year-old band in fall. And then we start doing the iReady assessment in winter and spring, and we also do the BASS assessment in winter and spring. We have those listed there as the essential standards. The essential standards are very long and like very wordy, and when I talk to parents, this is basically what I boil down to what we do. The meat of our work at the beginning of the year is letter names and sounds. If they have some pre-knowledge, again, just makes that beginning of the year a lot easier, so that by the middle of the year, they're starting to learn how to decode and read like CBCs, and hopefully by the end of the year, they're fluent emergent readers. But it really all starts with the building blocks that we start in TK that then get reinforced in kindergarten, so that I can send them off to first grade being an emergent reader. In terms of math, our big goal is number recognition 0 to 20, counting to 100 by 1s and 10s, and then being able to add and subtract within 10. And then this year, we've really been focusing on writing. Our 3 writing units are narrative, informational, and opinion pieces. The big goal at the end of the year is for the kindergartners to be able to write me 3 whole sentences. So that might seem like Megan's list, it might seem kind of a lot, but they can do it. They're more than capable. But yeah, I would say Megan's work is really important. A good asset that we have in this team is that Megan was a kindergarten teacher. She understands what's needed to get a kid ready for kindergarten. I taught first grade. I understand the big leap that happens in between kindergarten and first grade. So really thinking about, what does she need to do to get ready for me? What do I need to do to get ready for first grade? And kind of looking at the kids holistically as a team in this early childhood kind of continuum.
So that segues nicely into, and I want to say Megan, but I also want to say our TK program, because we do have 3
Yes, sorry.
teachers.
I work with Megan.
It was just me for a while.
Yeah.
So in terms of how we are doing, I just wanted to touch briefly on data. I won't go into it in too much, but this year our winter diagnostic, which only the kindergarten of this group takes, TK and developmental preschool does not. So by winter, we had 59% of our students at or above grade level in math, and we had 46% of our students at or above grade level at this point of the year in math. Down below, what you see in the green boxes is historically by spring. So by spring in kindergarten in the 21-22 school year, the 22-23 school year, and then last year the 23-24 school year. That jump that you see, the 23-24 school year, you know, I think that part of that is some of that readiness for kindergarten. I had this that year's kindergarten teachers telling me this is the most ready we've ever seen kids for kindergarten. Also, I would attribute that to our work around the essential standards and the PLC work, and really just diving deep into what is critical in kindergarten. And some of the work that we're doing now is that vertical alignment piece, and making sure that not just the background knowledge because you taught it, but looking at what is essential at each grade level and being able to support the work of the grade level coming up next. Down below in the yellow, what you see is the WAKIDS assessment data for each corresponding year. So in that 21-22 school year, we had 15.4% of students in the kindergarten level, or at Gold Bar, ready for kindergarten. In the 23-24 school year, we had 32% of students coming into kindergarten, ready for kindergarten. This year, I put that up at the top. We had 76 students that it's showing the WAKIDS assessment for. I wasn't able to desegregate between our TK students and our kindergarten students. So that 76 is actually showing 48% readiness for kindergarten of our TK and our kindergarten students. I can try to boil down that data because, I mean, we're kind of 50-50 split. So if that's, I don't know exactly what percentage of kindergartners and what percentage of our TK students are already coming in ready for kindergarten, and I can figure that out for you guys. But I just didn't have it before this. So just an anomaly there that I think that they're gonna have figured out before next year so that we can separate it a little bit more clearly. And so then in thinking about This is just the students who went to TK and still attend Gold Bar Elementary. So if you look at this, you'll see 11 students are represented in kindergarten, but only 4 students are represented in second grade, because of that 11, only 4 of them are still with us in second grade. So this is kind of jumbling all of the kids who ever participated in any of our TK programs together. How are they doing at the end of the year iReady assessment in reading and in math? And so the overall proficiency, 60% proficiency in kindergarten for any student that participated in TK, 60 to 50% in first grade. In second grade, of the 4 kids that were TK kids that are still with us, 100% of them were at grade level in reading, and 75%, so 3 of the 4 were at grade level in math. Of those 11 students overall, one of the students is on a 504, one is on an IEP, and 3 of those students are highly capable. One was twice exceptional for a while, but has exited from their IEP, and one is MLL. So just so that you've got some clarity around the data that we have there. I know that you guys had another early childhood kind of presentation from SES that encompassed through second grade and gave you some of the iReady data, and it was more specific around phonics instruction, and so I just wanted to make sure that you had some of that to see for Gold Bar as well. So K5 for Gold Bar, if we're looking at those first 2 columns, that anything green or the green slashed is students who met proficiency in phonics, right? So I combined it and put the scores higher. What you'll see is 3rd through 5th grade, we're at 63% and above for proficiency within phonics. You see that those prerequisite skills, that closing the achievement gap by making sure that direct instruction on phonics and that it's being addressed, and it's reflected that it's being addressed, because we're not seeing those scores down in that 47, 42, 45% at those upper grade levels. Also, I would say that the 47, 42, and 45% is pretty good for kids that are just learning how to understand the English language and how it's written and how it's used. So there is still, of course, work to do and areas of focus. I've highlighted for you guys, this is a needs analysis. So this isn't like, hey, this is a 67% proficiency in this area. This is 7% of kindergarten students still need continued work. They're falling somewhere below those 2 green dots. And the HFW is high frequency words. The next column over is vocabulary, right? These skills go up. The further you go this way on the chart, the higher level those skills are. So your phonemic awareness, phonics, high frequency words, vocabulary, comprehension, literature, and informational text. And so you would expect to see that you wouldn't see our 4th and 5th grade students, or 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students needing that support down in that phonics or phonemic awareness or phonics. You would expect that it would be up there in comprehension of informational text, which is right where it should be. So we still have work to do there, and you know, that's part of our PLC process and identifying how we best measure and also how we best support that high quality tier 1 instruction that Summer was talking about in our classrooms. I like that the skills deficits are in a sensical progression as we go K2 through 5th. So thinking, and then I just did the same thing. I turned it off somehow, I don't know. Same thing in math, thinking about it, there. So in math, the NO is numbers and operations, ALG is algebra, MS is measurement, and GEO is geometry. So for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students, their greatest area of growth would be in geometry, and then 2nd grade would be numbers and operations and measurement, 1st grade would be measurement, and kindergarten would be numbers and operations. So that's where a lot of our conversations in our PLCs need to continue to happen. And then just some of the things that I wanted to just share out, some of the positive practices that are happening within our building. This is that early identification of essential standards, the alignment of instruction, the fact that we're using that WAKIDS not just at kindergarten to determine readiness for kindergarten, but we're using it in the 2 opportunities that we have to connect kids with services prior to ever even getting into kindergarten. That obviously the Common Core State Standards is our curriculum, but the teachers are designing common formative assessments that are looking just beyond, not just at themselves, but beyond. Originally, when our TK program started, we were 2.5 hours a day, 4 days a week. We're now full day. 4 days a week. So that change happened in the 21-22 school year. The core phonics screener and the UFly scope and sequencing happened last school year, and we did see an improvement in being able to close some of those achievement gaps and identifying those skills deficits when we brought that in as a supplemental support. We have the new instructional materials for math that was just brought in this year. Intervention supports via PLC and care team process, and of course our title team, which Elena is here. The title paras all push in the very first week of school for kindergarten, and then they continue to support and push in at the kindergarten level around some of that intervention work that they're doing. And then the PBIF's emphasis on teaching of routines and expectations, that we had the 2 additional TTA programs that were added. And then this year, due to that kids still turning 3 in our community, we've had to add on another half-day offering of our developmental preschool program. We've got it kind of crammed in a little space that's not necessarily designed for them, but we're getting through for this year, and hopefully we'll be able to make some classroom adjustments and be able to accommodate them in a space that maybe has a bathroom, which would be fantastic for kids who are learning to potty train. So that's a hope for next year, because like I say, the kids keep turning 3 and we take them mid-year. It's not a September hard start date like our other programs are. And then the READY programming that is now being offered through the district, and I believe that starts up in April, right? That we start communicating with families there. So last thing, eventually when this decides to it worked at that one time. Somebody, Kayla. Just click next, okay. So moving forward, just some overarching goals and thoughts that I think that are a reflection of everybody who's trying to, Paul and Mike and our teachers and everybody, you guys, is that, we want to be responsive to the community needs, and we want to continue to build out our programming here what our district has to offer, right? So that's a goal, of course. Strengthening our ML supports, because, ML learners come in at developmental preschool and TK age, not just at kindergarten. So how do we get those supports and that out at that level as well, not just in the K-12 setting. So supporting early access and just and strengthening the family outreach partnerships, building on that continuum of care, building upon our supported inclusionary practices, and then vertically aligned practices, as well as collaborative PLCs across programs, and making sure that those PLCs are not just something that each grade level is doing individually, but something that we're doing across the whole continuum. So that's what we have for early learning. And
Anyone have questions?
Dan has a look on his
I have
face.
a question.
The question's
It's kind of an
coming.
opportunity to test my hearing, I guess.
Okay.
Somebody made a reference to 2000 up there. I was just wondering, can you restate that?
I went to kindergarten in 2000.
You went to, that's what I thought I heard.
You just made us, I felt
Age
really
difference
old.
when you did
Most of us felt our gray hair.
I know, I turned to Mike, I'm like, I feel old.
Don't worry,
So-
Elena sold me a purse that she bought in 2000 because I couldn't go to Coach and get it.
So thank you guys. Wonderful.
That was a great
Again, this is one of the district's goals, and obviously the success of students really starts early, and so you guys are doing a great job, and I am proud to be associated with all of you. So good
Thank
job.
you.
I didn't get a chance to say the same thing to Sultan Elementary, so I'm proud to be associated with you guys too.
All right, looks like Carissa, you're next. Approval of SHS asynchronous learning May 2025. He's so cutesy.
All right, so I'm Carissa Kelly. I'm part of the ESBA testing committee.
Jared Skeeth, I'm also part of the committee.
I'm Serena Whitmire-Skeeth. I'm the principal that here is to support the committee.
So this will be our 3rd year of running or asking to run it this way, to where on May 9th and May 16th, we are going to have testing days. Those are Fridays. And so on May 9th, we'll have English tests for our 10th graders and the science tests for our 11th graders. And then on May 16th,
is our math test for our 10th graders, and then anybody that needs to retake the ESPA testing. And so what we have done in the past is everybody else will have asynchronous activities. I gathered some data from teachers, and looking at last year's information, the percent that completed their asynchronous activities was almost 76% of all students. We also compared that to a similar assignment where they did it in class, and that was 70% of students, so we actually had more people doing their assignment during the asynchronous. One way I think that helped is to help people, especially those that are testing, we open it up the Wednesday before the test, and they have until the Wednesday after the test to get that assignment completed without any penalty or anything like that. So they have about a week to get that Friday assignment done if they don't have time on that Friday, or if they don't have access to the internet. Some people give paper assignments to those that can't get on the internet and stuff. Dave Moon was kind enough that this year on our class link, students will see a asynchronous icon, so that's how we take attendance for those 2 days of everybody that's at home, is they log into class link, click the button, it's a form, so we have everybody's information saying, yes, I checked in, I'm doing my assignments today.
Does anybody need background on what this thing looks like?
It's what you guys did last year, right?
Here's what we did last year, but I know there's some new board members, so
Yeah.
I'd love to know.
okay,
No,
so,
I'd be lost, yeah.
do I dare?
No.
Okay, so, keep it brief. Everybody said keep it brief. That was good. 3 years ago, we said if we want SBAC scores to improve, we need to make SBAC a big deal. We need to put our money where our mouth is. And so we started gathering feedback from students. What was the biggest concern about it? At the high school, how testing was done is it takes anywhere from a week to a 2-week period where we had block scheduling to go ahead and do the test. And we looked at it and said, well, how long does each one of these tests take to do? They're about 90 to 120 minutes, depending on which test, depending on different variables. And then you might have 2 90 minutes. You might have 120 and a 90. Or you might have different numbers come up with that test. We looked and said, well, what do we have that will meet that opportunity? And that was we had early release Fridays. Early release Fridays, the time scan allowed us to come do testing and testing only. Kids arrive, they're greeted with all the staff out in the commons, normally playing music, some of them dancing. That's questionable, but we give them, we address everything that is scientifically proven to help kids do good with testing. They get a good breakfast. They're given a movement activity, something to get their brains moving. And then they send them off to testing in the classroom that they've chosen to test in. So if they're taking an English test, they want to test in those English classrooms. And so they get to pick that, and we go through and do a little bit of making sure not the same troublemakers are all in the same class. So we do a little weeding out of that. Too bad that class is full. But they do all those testing on covering 2 Fridays. It covers 2 days instead of 2 weeks. Okay, and in exchange for that, because of the what we learned through COVID and whatnot, that asynchronous can be done. Whether we like it or not, some kids like it, some kids don't. But what we do is we give kids multiple means, multiple methods to be able to achieve that assignment, so they're not missing on any classroom instruction, they're not missing on any type of learning opportunity. In fact, they're actually gaining it. And so we're asking the board once again to allow us to continue to do that from the feedback that's shown the kids that actually benefit from it. We've seen marked increases, although in very small and incremental, on both math and ELA over the past 2 years due to some of that. Some of that's what teachers are doing leading up to that, as we've utilized some of the test questions and whatnot and preparatory stuff as part of their instruction leading up to this as well. So, does that kind of help a little bit?
But, yeah, thank you.
Oh, and at the end, you get milk and cookies on your way down.
I'll come test,
I know.
Good, well, I'll sign you up.
Questions, Bella, Cameron, Marianne?
Ladies, your feedback.
I like it. I think it's great for students, and the work that we do outside of school is easy, not hard. Teachers make sure you have time to do it a lot of the times too. Some of the teachers give us time in class to do that work that we're given on Fridays. I think it's invaluable.
I think it's really, really good. I like that you get to pick the classrooms. I think that's a big piece, cause if I'm doing it in like I don't know, a dim little portable, it'd be hard, but there's some good classrooms. I really like doing it. I think that's a big piece of it is your environment. I like that.
And you give us the choice. You give us the choice.
Isaac, questions? I have no questions. Mike?
No question.
Michael?
Answer them with the explanation, I'm happy.
There you go. Can I get a motion to approve the SHS asynchronous learning for May 2025?
I make a motion to approve the SHS asynchronous learning May 2025.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you guys are good to go.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're just gonna clap for everybody now. Approval of funding for SHS HOSA trip to nationals 2025.
Kayla, will you drive for me so I don't have to play with this at all? Cause y'all know me and I'd rather just talk. Good afternoon, good evening, board members. My name is Brandy Barnell. I teach the health science programs at Sultan High School and came tonight to provide you with a little bit of update of the fantastic things that are happening within our health science programs at SHS. And also, especially for our new board members, to kind of explain what HOSA is, because we hear it kind of thrown around a lot and we just want to explain it to you and then celebrate some really amazing accomplishments. I'm pretty proud of my students. Some of them are here tonight. Can you raise your hand if you are one of my students? There we go. Look at that. Bing, 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 bing. All right. So if you could just go. Okay, so first of all, I just want to address the question, what is HOSA? A lot of people understand the word, but they don't really understand what it means. HOSA is a career and technical student-led organization for students that are interested in healthcare careers. But it is truly an intra-curricular part of what we do in health science CTE courses. In Washington State, OSPI ensures that HOSA involvement or alignment with another CTSO is involved in how we plan and execute our coursework for students in health science programs. Really, we're looking at focusing on building leadership skills. It allows them the opportunity to compete academically in healthcare-related events, to serve their communities, which is a huge deal, and to connect with industry professionals as they prepare for careers in the health professions. Local chapters like ours, we partner with businesses, colleges, healthcare institutions to give students hands-on experience, to introduce rigorous learning opportunities, and to promote career readiness. So it really is the core of what builds a good health science program in any high school. So one of the things I did was just create this little visual to show you how HOSA relates to our programs. Because a lot of times I'll hear it, oh, the HOSA class or the HOSA this. It's actually not a class, it's part of what we do. So you can see in the center of that, we have our HOSA chapter for Sultan High School. And then around that is our HOSA logo, which includes the four core values of HOSA in general. As we're working with kids in health sciences, we focus on helping them learn at rigorously high levels, at challenging levels. We provide opportunities for them to lead in teams and in service to our community, to serve our community in really amazing ways, and then to innovate, to use the amazing tool between their ears, their brain, to come up with exciting new ways to accomplish all the things they're trying to accomplish. And around there, then I placed all 4 health science programs that are offered, that are based on foundational HOSA values at Sultan High School. So we have our family health class, our health science and body systems class, our sports medicine class, and our advanced sports medicine class. So maybe that visual kind of helps show you how HOSA is related to how and what we teach. So I brought some pictures in because that's how I like to show you what's going on. You have to see it. In our health science and body systems classroom, you will see some examples of some pretty rigorous work they do in their interactive notebooks, as well as students learning hands-on. In these pictures, they're actually building muscles from the muscle fiber to the muscle fascicle to the actual tissue, and they're making them out of licorice.
and saran wrap. So at the end of the project, they've created a specific muscle that is to size to the human skeleton. It's quite a fun activity. Go ahead. These are pictures of our sports medicine team at work. And when I say team, these kids are a team. You'll see some of those faces sitting in our audience here. You will find the sports medicine team learning and serving at the sideline. You'll find them in the classroom where they are taping and learning different medical techniques to help our student athletes. You can see some students up there practicing their team CPR skills with a bag valve mask and an AED unit. You can see Miss Addie, who's not here tonight, right after their first lesson in empathy of the year, and that is how to insert a nose plug into a bleeding athlete. Every one of my students gets to experience that, so they know what it feels like to have something shoved up your nose. There she is. And students in the top, they are learning to do lung exams in the classroom. One of the things we did to promote leadership through our programs this year was take a large group of students to a fall leadership conference with Washington HOSA. That was held at Everett Community College in early November. How many of you students went to FLC? Okay, and so this was an opportunity for them to get some hands-on learning and do some individual learning sessions in areas of their interest. We had a pretty great turnout, we had a really good time, and this really kicks off that competitive spirit of HOSA that we look at towards the end of the year. So this was one of the leadership opportunities we took them to this year. Another way that we're opening opportunities is by partnering with groups like Snohomish STEM and Everett Community College. This year we took a group of kids, this is the second year, to a field trip called the ECHO Tour. And this, again, ECHO stands for Exploring Careers and Healthcare Opportunities, because just like in education, healthcare, we love our acronyms. These are examples of students doing different things at that field trip. At the top right, they are working in a sim lab. So they're actually working with simulation dummies that are provided in nursing programs. The one there had adventitious or yucky lung sounds, stuff stuck in his lungs. You also see a group of students working with a baby. What they're listening to is a baby with pertussis or whooping cough. So it was pretty a neat experience for them. On the far left, they're learning all about dementia and how that affects people from their everyday tasks to their interpretation of what people say to them. So it was a really neat, ongoing, interactive learning experience for them. I am really excited to recognize two really important people in our local community who have just invested in our health science programs. One of them is our local fire district in Sultan. This is Chief Seth Johnson over in the far corner. He has helped me design a series of self-scheduled ride-alongs where students sign up to work 4 hours at our local fire district, and they ride in the ambulance with paramedics to local emergencies. How many of you guys have done ride-alongs this year? And they are able to self-schedule all year long. This is an incredible immersive opportunity for our students, and so I can't thank Chief Johnson and his crew enough for opening the doors for this kind of opportunity. The second person I'd like to thank and kind of highlight is Brett Parsons. He's a physical therapist and the clinic director at Summit Rehab right here in Sultan. He has opened his doors huge to our programs and invited in kids to do job shadows. He's even hired some of our students as seniors to work as physical therapy assistants in his clinic. So opportunities here continue to grow, and both of these gentlemen sit on our Health Science Advisory Board for our career and technical programs. So it's a really great, amazing year of strengthening and growing these programs. Earlier in the year, our students took on some really important service opportunities. One was an innovative kind of approach to Mental Health Awareness Week. And here we did a lot of promoting around just being aware of people's mental health struggles. And then we did have an an in-house competition about a mental health awareness button. The winner is sitting right here. Bella Webb created the green Mental Health Matters button. Earned an award we call Empathy in Action this year for creating awareness around mental health struggles for teens. Our second place winner was Serenity Webster, and she did the It's Okay Not to Be Okay button. And our students made, how many buttons did we make? Like, I don't know, 400 or something, and they passed them out to students, and students are still wearing them. As a matter of fact, I saw Miss Kelly's on her keychain when she walked in. So it was a really neat effort during that week. This is a very special project, specifically to our kids who are deeply involved with our HOSA meetings every week. A group of students got together and identified a need in our community. And you can see, we called this project Hats for Hope. We partnered with Swedish Cancer Institute, and that connection was made by one of our students, Paige Slicker, and found out that many cancer patients who are receiving chemotherapy, they were in need of hats because, of the hair loss and the difficulty holding on to body temperature during chemotherapy. So our team bought, I don't know how many, about 50 hats and these amazing little buttons with all the different cancer ribbons on them that say hope. And they created their Hats for Hope project. Here you see them before school starts, putting together all these hats and pins and wrapping them at Christmas time with a copy of the note that went from our Sultan HOSA group to people facing cancer. And these were given out, Paige, you guys delivered them to Swedish, and they were given out to cancer patients at Christmas time with a really beautiful message of hope from our students. So I was touched by their effort and very, very proud of what they did. Blood drives, you've heard about them all over our community. This year we held 4 blood drives. We held 1 in August, 1 in October, and 2 in January. There's part of our blood drive team there at the bottom, and this year in our 4 blood drives, we added 175 registered blood donors to the local registry, and we collected 124 pints of blood. Every pint of blood can effectively save 3 lives. So that's a big impact. The biggest project that we took on this year, and we are still working on it, we're still not done this year, is our dedication to our National HOSA Service Project. So HOSA chapters across the United States are working with the National Marrow Donor Program. They are formerly known as Be the Match, and their job is to find donors for people who need stem cell transplants. And one of the really amazing things that we were able to do the last 2 years as students go in and learn about NMDP, they were able to meet this wonderful lady on that picture. She's actually the principal that hired me to work at Sultan High School 11 years ago. And she was the principal then. Her name is Tammy Nesting, and now she is a spokesperson for the National Marrow Donor Program because she suffered from cancer and a donor saved her life. And she is here because of stem cell transplant. So I still get kind of emotional about it because I wouldn't be here doing the things that I do with these kids if it wasn't for that person there and the fact that my students are engaged in giving back to the organization that saved her. That's the best. There's no other words to describe it. People that donate or become part of the registry need to be 18 years old. So at the point of this meeting, Savannah was the only 18-year-old, but there she is swabbing her cheek to see if she can become a stem cell donor. It's as easy as a cheek swab. We did plan a community event. Students put hours and hours into planning this event, and then we had to postpone it because of a big weather scare that turned out to be 4 snowflakes. Isn't that always the way? Anyway, they put hours into this, so it's ready to go, and we are actually working at having this event held June 7th at our local fire district, so you can come by and listen to the kids talk about NMDP. You could swab your cheek. You can even, if you're under 18, join a pre-registry to help. It's amazing effort, so super proud of my students and the work they've done around this service project. One of the things that they had an idea for fundraising for NMDP came from two students sitting in the room right now with their team. And they decided 2 weeks before Christmas, we want to do Santa pictures. And we want to do Santa pictures with Mr. Varnell as Santa. And they just looked at me. And I said, well, you have to ask him because he's going to tell me no. But Mr. Varnell played Santa. We had a really successful Santa picture event that raised in 3 hours almost $350 for this organization. People would check in. We had a bake sale. There was pictures with Santa. There was just all kinds of amazing things going on, and we hope to repeat that next year. But we had a lot of fun with this. You can see the kids did too, and we were able to raise a ton of money for charity. Oh, and I just threw in those because I thought you might get a kick out of Santa with people you know. I really would love to highlight, though, the accomplishments of Sultan High School at our HOSA state competition this year. This year, we had 12 amazing students qualify for our state competition, and we took off in March to compete in multiple areas. And there we are at our state send-off, getting ready to leave. Ahead. So there were 93 schools and about 3,200-ish, Bella, am I right? 3,200-ish? There were more than 3,100 students there. We had 12 state competitors, and this was the largest state competition to date. Our students, they competed in all the events you see up here. So health policy writing, anatomy and physiology, applied anatomy, mental health promotion. We had a state officer candidate. Clinical specialty in emergency medicine and in physical therapy, medical terminology, prepared speaking, general chemistry, and sports medicine. Boy, it was nuts and a lot of fun. Oops, wrong way. So in our state outcomes, I'm going to go from 10th place up. I am proud, very proud to scream from the rooftops that Sultan High School is becoming well known for placing in the top 10 at state. In 10th place with her first trip to state was Vanessa Limon Torres for clinical specialty emergency medicine. In 9th place was sophomore Owen Van Orden for his clinical specialty competition in physical therapy. So these two kids did an amazing job. They'd never done anything like this before, and they just rose right to the top. Going. We did have a team of 3. One of them is here right now. Vanessa is here right now. This team took on a new competition called Mental Health Promotion, and they promoted mental health assistance for students suffering from performance anxiety, social anxiety, and academic anxiety. And they did this beautiful, beautiful outreach to them, and it was specifically online. So it was an online platform outreach. They placed 7th in state for their efforts, and they were the first people of the day to present, and one of the judges was late, and they handled it like champs. As a matter of fact, the one judge who was alone in the room, instead of they said, "Good morning, judges." Well, judge. And then they kept going, and she's laughing and loving what they were doing, and they took her anxiety away. So it was pretty amazing. I was so proud of them. Isabella Webb took 6th place in prepared speaking. Very proud of her. And Alyssa Shalo took 3rd place in sports medicine. Go ahead. Gustavo Martinez, brand new to this competition, placed 2nd place in clinical specialty emergency medicine. Super proud of this kid. And here she is again. Miss Isabella Webb was voted in as a 2nd term for Region 5 Vice President of HOSA, sitting on the Student Executive Council. So this marks the 4th year in a row that Sultan High School students have served in the highest place they can serve in Washington HOSA, and that's on the Student Executive Council 4 years in a row. So I am super proud of our students. Good job, Bella. Sultan High School was recognized at state, out of all schools there, one of the two highest performing high schools in the state for the HOSA Service Project National Maradona Program, with one of 2 of the most service hours, and funds raised. So we raised a little over $500 for them through student planned efforts. Then the big one, our state anatomy competition is what kids just go nuts for and they study for months and months for. We had 3 teams competing. We had a team called Critical Condition, a team they call themselves the Spleen Queens, and a team they call themselves Bone Appetit. Get it? I thought that was kind of funny. And here they are getting ready to compete. There were 93 schools, there were 132 teams in this competition. And what happened was we competed against each other for first and second place. They went straight up the bracket. So what happened, I mean, you can see I was feeling pretty good at that point. I'm just like, go Sultan, go, because look what you did. They brought it to this competition, and I know that this is recorded, but they absolutely handed it to Puyallup High School. I watched it happen. Their score was like 195 to 46 or something. My cheeks were popping off. I was so excited. They were doing a great job. So 8 students that qualified, these 8 students from our teams, the Spleen Queens and Bon Appetit, have now punched their ticket, and for the 4th consecutive year, Sultan High School has made it to nationals. So I'm super proud of you. Uh-oh. Here they come. All right, our National Anatomy Competition is May 30th and 31st. It's a 2-day competition. It's held at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I did enclose a flyer in your packet so you can see what happens during the day, what happens during the competition. Friday is they do some workshops, and then we do preliminary rounds because we're competing from teams from every state in the US. So preliminary rounds take an entire day. Saturday are the top 32 rounds. So if we make it to the top 32, then it's whittled down to the top 16, the top 8, the top 4, and there you go. This year, the prizes for first place in nationals is $15,000. Second place is $7,500, $7,500. And then third and fourth, there are some pretty amazing electronics packages, an iPad Air and a MacBook for third and fourth position. So these are pretty amazing things that can happen to students should they get to the top. 2 years ago, we made it to spot number 6. The year before that, we were spot number 5. 2 years ago, spot number 6. Last year, we took a record 12 students made it, and those students made it through to the top 32 and the top 16, but that's as far as we made it. So this trip is gonna cost us about $1,500 a person, which is pretty equal to what it cost us last year. That includes round trip airfare from Washington to Nevada, ground transportation to and from the places we need to go, lodging, and then meals. We are actively planning and working with the Sultan Education Foundation, just like we did last year, to put on our 2nd annual Tossing for Turks Cornhole Tournament. I'm advertising here, people. Come play cornhole with us. Saturday in the SHS Commons. Word on the street is we may live stream it. We talked a little bit about that today. We may live stream it. We did last year and the commentary was hilarious. But the cornhole tournament is played with all the bells and whistles that like a golf tournament is played. That means you can buy mulligans. You can buy cheats. And it is pretty amazing. We raised a good chunk of money to send our kids to nationals last year. As well, we do a silent auction, and there are 2 beautiful brand new custom cornhole sets going into that auction. I happen to know the person who makes them. They are really beautiful, and some other things from our community. When I spoke with Debbie Koppel just a few days ago, we had already received $2,000 worth of donations before this tournament. So it's pretty amazing the way that the community lifts up and tries to help us take kids to compete at an academic national level. I'm always honored and humbled by our community's generosity to my students. But we do need your support. We need the district support because it costs a bit of money to get us there. What I'm asking for today are two things. One is permission to take them overnight to Las Vegas. We would be gone for 3 nights, coming home day 4, but I do need board permission to take them out of state for that. Second, we need some district funding support. We are raising money to pay for all their airfare. And that's a pretty penny. My goal is to make sure that we get those tickets purchased 30 days in advance, so they are the cheapest they can possibly be, and on a Tuesday, because Tuesdays airfares are the cheapest. So we are looking to raise money and raise those funds with Sultan Education Foundation and the Sultan Cornhole League for airfare. We are asking the district to pay, as they did last year, ground transportation to and from the airport, meals and incidentals, and I am asking this year, considering these kids' amazing work and the consistent performance of our teams, that you pay for their lodging. I feel as their instructor and watching the hours that these kids work to compete in something like this, I don't feel that asking the district to pay for their lodging is out of line. I really think it's comparable, especially when they're fundraising to pay for probably the biggest expense, which is airfare. So that's the second thing I'm asking for. I'm asking for a little bit of funding support for those items. I would be happy to answer any questions you have. I did send the board a pretty comprehensive letter with some comparisons of housing. I would like to just make this my plea for this. We took them to Las Vegas last year, and as much as I have wonderful kids, and they are great, they are amazing, sometimes that area is not the best area to have kids in. Specifically after about 8 o'clock at night. If you've been to Vegas, if you know, you know. So one of the things also that always concerns me when I take students anywhere is I'm traveling with other people's babies. And, you know, I worry sometimes if we're staying in a hotel in Las Vegas, one of them's gonna want ice in the middle of the night and something bad's gonna happen when they leave their room to get ice. You know, I just worry about that kind of stuff. So I did a little research to kind of bring my anxiety down a little bit, but also look at comparable pricing. I really would like to put them in a rental, a group lodging home for those days outside of Las Vegas proper, which is about 15 minutes away. They are away from the Strip, they are away from the downtown crazy and all those little cards that they hand out walking. I just don't want the kids around it. This also allows me to supervise them closely, right? And to really, I know where they are at all times. And I also can offer them a truly quiet place to study, because I don't know if you know this, but learning this much anatomy is hard. And when we get there, we study and study and study and more study, especially if they make it to that top 32 the next day. And they need that place to do that. The other thing that's quite expensive in Las Vegas are meals. We can give a meal stipend all you want, but if you go out to one breakfast, you're gonna spend $40 easily in a hotel for breakfast. So I am looking at I would like to rent a house for them, so we have a kitchen. And we'll bring in groceries, they can make their own breakfast. It's much more user-friendly. And then it limits the meals out and the cost of those meals to just our team celebratory dinner. I do plan on taking them into Vegas proper during the day after the competition, because they deserve a celebration and they deserve to see some of the cool things that are there during the daytime. They do love Raising Cane's chicken. I don't even know why that's a cult classic for them, but they have to do it. But I do like to take students to the Bodies exhibit. I don't know if you've heard about that before, but this is an amazing opportunity. It's an enrichment opportunity for their experience there. And I don't know how many hours were we in there last time, like 2? In 2 hours or more in that exhibit?
Probably like 3 from 1 hour alone in the gift shop.
Yeah, and the gift shop was amazing, yeah. But yeah, it was just fantastic. And they actually, last time there were 2 in town, 2 different exhibits like that, and they're actual human bodies that it's an anatomy exhibit. And they look at them up close, cadavers that were donated to science. So we are asking parents to donate or to contribute $125 per student. That's exactly what we asked of them last year for things like tickets to that, tickets to that event, for anything special they might want. If they win, we are having cake and ice cream. So we're gonna, incidentals, that kind of thing. But I did some pretty intense research on the cost, and so that is one thing I would like you to consider. I feel better about having them in a controlled environment.
We got all of the information, thank you.
Mhm.
I don't have any questions, and I know a lot of this is the same as last year. Michael, any questions?
Don't think it could be.
Mike?
No.
Isaac?
I completely agree with getting off the strip where they stay. And then two, not so much on that. So when you get tested for the stem cell,
Oh.
like get tested for it,
Yeah.
what's the process of getting the stem cells out of you?
Okay, so 90% of them, and 90 to retrieve your stem cells, not
That's what
just to
I'm
be
saying,
tested.
right?
It's just like donating blood.
Oh,
You
really?
sit down, they give you a little poke, they take out blood, they remove the stem cells from your blood, and then they put your blood back.
Interesting.
It's really quite easy, and only 10% require bone marrow aspiration, but 90% of the people, that means like they put you to sleep and they do that. But also, if you're chosen to be a donor, 100% of everything is paid for by National Marrow Donor Program, including if you need someone to watch your pets or watch your house or all your medical care, they send someone with you to donate. Like, it's incredible. So yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's easy.
Mary Ann, questions?
I did have a question. I see on your request, you have Airbnb or VRBO, rental home 1 and rental home 2.
Mhm.
Are those two separate options?
Yes.
Or are they next door to each other? Okay.
There are two separate options, so
That's what I assumed, but I
I
just
went
wanted
to look
clarify.
for homes that have the specific number of rooms I need, which is 5. Because we do have a male student going with us, and I need to accommodate that. So I need 5 rooms. I looked at like how long it will take us to get to competition. I really don't want it to take us more than about 15 or 20 minutes to get there. And that, speaking from experience, we have to hire a small bus to take us. What do you call them? We need a shuttle, but not a,
Private shuttle.
no, help me.
An Uber?
A Lyft or an Uber, there you go. They're not big enough to hold everybody, and I am not comfortable putting someone else's children into an Uber in Las Vegas without me in it.
Right.
So it's a small shuttle, back and
Little
forth.
party bus.
Kind of, yeah. But if you know this crowd, not really. If you know these kids.
Okay.
No.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve
Let me say, I have to state it first. Motion to approve out-of-state travel and funding to include an Airbnb or VRBO for the SHS HOSA trip to Nationals 2025.
Okay, I make a motion to what she said.
Kayla, did you get all that? I can give it to you again. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
All right, that is it. We do have executive session. It is 7:18. We'll start executive session. You said 10 minutes, Dan?
Yes, 10 minutes.
So we'll start at, let's say, 7:23. Give us 5 minutes, and then we'll go to 7:33. I need a motion.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Basically.
A motion to adjourn this meeting, and then
Yes, I actually had,
Isaac.
I already had one of them.
and then motion to go into executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.